Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. Whether it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where on the globe you are. This is episode number 141 in an ongoing live series of broadcasts designed for folk who are committed to getting better at being who they are at their core, and not merely distracted by getting better at doing what they do. The latter is always a natural extension of the former. Whew, wow. All right. It's a very interesting day today. Yeah. Look, there are people that join me for this broadcast from all over the planet. So if in your country you have the right to vote, I hope that when given the opportunity, you do. In every country where people like you have the right to vote, know that in some way or another, somebody fought for that right, be it a war of words, a war of horrific violence, or somewhere in between. Somebody fought for that right. Here in this country, the only folk who were ever actually originally given the right to vote were landowning, generally white men. Everybody else in this country who has the right to vote at some point or another, that right was hard earned, fought for. So the question for all of you, all of us, is how will you honor that effort? The quote I chose for today is this one. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Yeah, yeah. So, what I find interesting about this one is not that it's an opportunity to jab at either side or both sides or every side, although I do kind of enjoy that. Been hearing a lot of people saying, I don't do politics. Ugh. This is not a time to warm the bench or sit on the sidelines. This is a time for participation, for action, for tikkun olam, for healing the world in this country, regardless of the side that you support. Choosing not to vote and making up any excuse to justify not voting is abdicating your responsibility as a citizen. Yeah, I don't take this one lightly. Choosing not to vote and making up any lame I'm voting. I'm voting on that, whether voting is good or bad. Abdicating your responsibility as a citizen and surrendering your right to bitch or moan or complain or even comment about anything going on in this country or your city or your state or your any municipality. Voting is the cost of freedom and it's required to comment. Is it required as a citizen? No. I believe it should be. I remember watching them vote in the first democratically held elections in Iraq after after the end of I would say after the end of the war, but it never really ended. After a cessation enough in violence that voting could take place. And 80% of the electorate, 80+% of the electorate turned out to vote. And they did that in the face of extreme risk. Nobody here is in danger of being shot as they go to vote, God willing. And yet 55% turnout is considered high. Oh my God, that I find pathetic. That I find embarrassing at a national level, that we are so disengaged as an electorate that 55% turnout is considered high. Ooh, that's embarrassing. And then the same people that don't vote complain that the people who are leading this country, or the person that's leading this country, or the administration that's leading this country, they're idiots, they're evil, they're awful. The people that are running are terrible. Well, the people that are running are the ones that have been voted for over and over and over again by the people who vote, who have been elected over and over by the people who vote, by the people who participate in the system. If you don't like who's running the country, get off your ass and vote. If you don't like the people who represent you, get active. Vote for someone else, campaign for someone else. It's embarrassing that we have so many people sitting in the cheap seats, pissing and moaning about who's leading this country or who's running or what our options are. And yet, when push comes to shove and it's time for them to actually participate and vote, they don't. I don't do politics. Yuck. Whether you do politics or not, whether you engage in politics or not, guess what? It impacts your day-to-day life. And guess what? We're reading studies now that 83% of employees are disengaged, somewhere from somewhat to completely disengaged. When we disengage, when we stop participating or taking ownership or participating in the system in which we reside, whether it's the system in which we work or the system in which we live, when we are disengaged, we lose any sense of contribution and control to what's going on around us. Whether we're disengaged as an employee or disengaged as a member of the electorate, we get what we get and have no control over it. Tomorrow in the United States is your opportunity to be engaged. Yes, almost 100 million Americans have already cast their vote. We're expecting 65% turnout this year. 65% of the eligible voters of registered voters. We're expecting 65% of registered voters to get out and vote. Oh, that's horrible. Yes, Maggie, we get to vote. We have the privilege in this country of voting, and we don't even take it as a privilege, let alone as our responsibility. Democracy's survival demands an educated electorate. That's a whole nother broadcast. Educating oneself, knowing who the candidates are, knowing what the issues are, knowing what the platforms are, and actually making an intelligent decision when you vote. Hell, at this point, I just get up and vote. We'll have time to deal with the educated electorate over the next year before the next election cycle and all the runoffs and special elections that are coming. We'll have time to deal with educating the electorate throughout the next 1, 2, and 4 year cycles of elections. But right now, get up and vote. I heard something on the news on 2 different stations this morning talking about if you've got an absentee ballot sitting on your desk or the bureau or on the kitchen counter, don't mail it. Fill it in, take it to a take it to a drop box today, or take it to a polling station tomorrow. Don't mail it and make sure it gets in. If you don't have an absentee ballot and you haven't sent one in and you haven't voted, get there tomorrow. This one's important. And I know who I'm supporting, and I know that I've cast my vote. Yes, I would love to say go vote and support the person I'm supporting, but more importantly, get off your ass and go vote, period. This election is more than just the top of the ballot. It's not just for president. There are national elections for your national representatives. There are statewide elections for your statewide representatives. There are citywide and municipal elections. There are, what do you call those things? at the end of the ballot. Oh my God. Anyway, there are initiatives on your ballot and propositions, depending on your state, in your ballot that impact your life in your county, in your city, in your state. Get off your ass and go vote. Don't know enough about the candidates? Ask a friend, ask a family member, ask a parent. Take somebody with you to vote. Take a parent, take a child, take a friend, take a colleague. Go vote. This is your opportunity to participate in the system. This is your opportunity to engage in the system. Yes, forget preachy today. I'm angry at how few Americans vote. I'm angry that we have come to accept lack of engagement in the political process as acceptable, as okay, as the order of the day. I'm angry that we're not dragging our friends and family and colleagues to go vote. Instead of bitching at our friends and family and ranting on Facebook about the other candidate, or even those few people who do it, espousing our own candidate. That's great. That's all sound and fury signifying nothing. It is nothing but signal. It is nothing but noise. The true signal is getting off one's ass and going to vote. You want to separate signal from noise? Go vote and take somebody with you. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Hey, just take this a step further. If you're disengaged at work, if you're not comfortable or happy about how things are going in your company, the one you lead or the one you work for, start showing up and participating. Don't wait for them to change your level of engagement. Get off your ass and engage. You don't like the way things are happening in the country? Get off your ass and engage. I wrote in Mindset Mondays, we do not see the world. It's a quote I borrowed from originally the Talmud, most often attributed to Carl Jung. We do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. We see the world as we are. So if you're seeing the world as anything less than you want it to be, what an opportunity to engage in your own growth, your own development, creating shift for yourself and creating shift in our country. Get off your ass and participate. And if you don't participate, I don't want to hear a word about it afterward. It's not fair to take up bandwidth and time and energy of those around you who participated, pissing and moaning about not liking the way the country's being led or people are behaving when you didn't engage and you didn't participate. I don't want to hear it. So, how simple can I make it? Let me bottom line it. Engage or shut up. This whole series is about inviting people to have a conversation. Well, guess what? 141 weeks into this, here's the secret. You don't participate in your world, you don't get to complain about it. You can be a spectator in these conversations, and even though you're invited to engage, you have to step up. You have to comment. You have to step into the arena. You have to reach out and communicate. To engage in the private Facebook group that goes with these conversations. You actually have to take action to get the most benefit out of it. You have to engage. This is a little microcosm of what you're like at work. Are you a spectator at work? Are you a spectator in your own damn country? Do you sit in the cheap seats and bitch and moan and have conversations in your head? Or do you step up and participate? We'll see. Look, if you're not registered, it's too late. But if you're registered, engage. participate, and hold others accountable as well. Yeah, I'm feeling so much energy around this and so much anger around this. I got into a great habit when people started engaging me in a conversation about anything even reasonably political or economic. My first question was, did you vote? And if they didn't vote, I ended the conversation. Yeah, I'm intrigued by who they voted for, but that's not the important piece. The important piece is, if you don't vote, don't waste my time. So, enough of me ranting. The first Monday in November, it's the last day before the election. Pay attention, engage, show up. I'll give you the same invitation I give every week. Join me at facebook.com/group/mindset Mondays. Come into the group. It's a free group, no pitch, open conversation. Love to hear your feedback on this. I'd love for you to engage in the conversation. And I challenge you to get off your ass and engage tomorrow in the election. Because one of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. So, how will you honor those before you who fought for the right to vote? Forget what mindset will you choose. What action will you take this week? I'll see you next week.